Xiao Yan successfully refined a 9th-tier mysterious pill, officially establishing himself as the greatest alchemist on the Dou Qi Continent. Not only did he clear Yao Lao's name after 1,000 years of injustice, but he also had the names of Yao Lao's parents engraved upon the Yao Clan's ancestral monument. The entire Yao Clan erupted in celebration. Everyone believed the medicine ceremony would end in triumph. None of them realized that the grand gathering had been a death trap meticulously prepared by the Hun Clan, a trap intended to exterminate the entire Yao Clan. Hun Xuzi, who had been hiding his true intentions all along, finally cast aside his disguise and openly demanded that the Yao Clan surrender its fragment of the Dou Qi ancient gods Jade. Yao Wanhua flew into a rage and immediately attacked, but Hun Xuzi unleashed the terrifying might of a 7-star Dou Saint. With a single palm strike, he sent Elder Wanhua flying backward while vomiting blood. By then, the entire Yao realm had already been completely sealed by the Hun Clan. The cultivators trapped inside desperately tried to escape, yet they could not find even the smallest weakness in the surrounding space. Then the true body of the 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 devouring flame appeared. Its power was even more terrifying than the purifying demonic lotus flame. The moment it arrived, it began madly devouring the Dou Qi and life force of every living being around it. Panic spread instantly throughout the Yao realm. With no other choice, Yao Dan activated the clan protection formation that the Yao clan had inherited for countless generations. Every member of the clan, regardless of strength, used a forbidden technique and poured their Dou Qi into the formation. Through their combined power, they summoned the remnant soul of the Yao clan's ancient ancestor, whose strength had reached the level of an 8-star Dou Saint. The entire clan prepared to fight the Hun Clan to the death. However, the difference in strength between the two sides was simply too great. Under the erosion of the 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 devouring flame, the clan protection formation shattered inch by inch. Even the ancestral remnant soul was eventually swallowed without leaving a trace. The situation had become completely hopeless. Yao Dan stared at the 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 devouring flame in horror, as though he had suddenly realized something unimaginably terrifying. A moment later, he appeared below with a flash and swept his sleeve outward, gathering dozens of the Yao clan's younger generation into his grasp. He then roared with all his strength, "Yao clan elders, self-destruct and destroy this sealed space. We may sacrifice ourselves, but we must preserve the seeds of our clan's bloodline." His heart-wrenching cry caused the bodies of countless Yao clan experts in the sky to tremble. Faced with the extinction of their clan and the choice of sacrificing themselves to preserve its bloodline, they chose the latter without hesitation. Dazzling light suddenly erupted from their bodies. Their Dou Qi became violently unstable, surging toward the point of detonation. Hun Xuzi's expression changed. They intend to self-destruct. Even though the entire realm had been sealed, the simultaneous self-destruction of so many powerful cultivators could still tear open a spatial crack. However, the 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 devouring flame had already transformed itself into countless devouring creatures, and was occupied with consuming the living beings throughout the realm. It had no attention to spare. You think you can escape from directly beneath the Hun clan's eyes? It will not be that easy. Hun Xuzi quickly took a scroll from his storage ring and crushed it. The scroll transformed into a flaming passage. Several figures immediately shot out from within. "Hey, Yao Dan. I never expected that the next time we met, you would have fallen into such a miserable state." As the black figures emerged from the passage, cold and sinister auras spread across the sky. The Hun clan's true experts had finally arrived. Yao Dan abruptly raised his head and fixed his gaze upon the two elderly men leading the group. Hun Jing and Hun Yan, two of the Hun clan's 4 demon saints. The Hun clan has dispatched 2 of you at once. You truly think highly of my Yao clan. Hearing Yao Dan's low and venomous voice, the elder at the front smiled faintly. "Yao Dan, your clan's alchemy is still somewhat useful to the Hun clan. Agree to become one of our subordinate clans, and perhaps we will allow your bloodline to survive." Yao Dan answered without hesitation. The Yao clan would rather shed its final drop of blood than submit to the Hun clan and live in humiliation. "In that case, kill them all." The elder did not seem surprised by his answer. He casually waved his hand and spoke in an indifferent voice. "Leave no survivors." The Hun clan experts behind Hun Jing and Hun Yan revealed savage expressions and responded in unison. They then descended upon the Yao Clan like a black tidal wave. As the Hun Clan experts attacked, the light surrounding one Yao Clan elder suddenly reached its brightest point. An extremely violent force erupted in the sky. The first Yao Clan expert had self-destructed. His sacrifice seemed to ignite the determination of the others. The light within the bodies of numerous Yao Clan experts intensified rapidly before they detonated one after another. The sealed space began to distort under the continuous explosions. Tiny cracks slowly appeared across it. When Yao Dan saw the changes in the surrounding space, joy flashed through his eyes. Yet beneath that joy lay immeasurable grief. Only a short while earlier, the Yao Clan had been peaceful and prosperous. Now, countless clansmen lay dead, while the survivors were forced to destroy themselves merely to create a path of escape. Continue. At Yao Dan's roar, even more Yao Clan experts detonated the Dou Qi within their bodies without hesitation. Hun Jing snorted coldly. With a sweep of his sleeve, monstrous black energy surged out like lightning and transformed into a gigantic hand. The hand seized the Yao Clan experts who were attempting to self-destruct near the weakened section of space and hurled them far away. Any explosion occurring elsewhere would be useless. When Yao Dan saw Hun Jing interfere, he immediately shouted, "Wanhua!" Not far away, Elder Wanhua was covered in blood. The moment he heard Yao Dan's call, he charged forward without hesitation. Several powerful Yao Clan elders followed behind him. The Dou Qi within all of their bodies had already begun to boil violently. "I will stop them." Hun Xuzi's figure flickered, and he instantly appeared before Elder Wanhua. He moved both hands and, through his strength alone, dragged Elder Wanhua and the other elders into a fierce battle. When Yao Dan saw that even Wanhua's group had been restrained by the Hun Clan, the fury in his eyes intensified. "Damn Hun Clan!" His gaze quickly swept across the battlefield before finally settling upon Xiao Yan. With a flash, he appeared directly before him. "Xiao Yan, the experts of my Yao Clan will use their self-destruction to tear open a spatial crack and give you an opportunity to escape. This old man has never begged anyone in his life, but today, I beg you to help preserve the final trace of the Yao Clan's bloodline." Xiao Yan looked into Yao Dan's bloodshot eyes, and his heart grew heavy. However, at that moment, he also needed the Yao Clan's sacrifices to break through the sealed space. He could not refuse. "Clan Chief Yao Dan, I will do everything within my power." Elder Shinong flew over and sighed. "Old fellow, I will help as well. Prepare yourselves. I will hold back Hun Jing and Hun Yen. The other elders will help you tear open the surrounding space." The moment he finished speaking, Yao Dan stomped violently through the air and shot upward like a meteor. He immediately became locked in a fierce battle with Hun Jing and Hun Yen. At the same time, the remaining Yao Clan elders rushed toward the same section of space and detonated themselves one after another. The distortion in that area became increasingly violent. Tiny black flame runes emerged from the spatial seal, only to explode beneath the repeated impacts of the violent energy. "Move!" At Xiao Yan's command, everyone unleashed their greatest speed and rushed toward the area where the self-destructions were concentrated. The Hun Clan's objective was to eliminate every living being within the Yao realm, so naturally, they had no intention of allowing Xiao Yan's group to escape. The moment the group moved, the countless devouring creatures scattered throughout the mountains and the Hun Clan experts in the sky immediately changed targets. They surged toward Xiao Yan's group from every direction like an overwhelming flood. Xiao Yan's expression tightened when he saw the enemies approaching from all sides. Before he could attack, Elder Shinong threw out his medicinal staff. A sea of green flames immediately spread across the battlefield. Countless gigantic trees suddenly grew from within the flames. Their branches twisted like vines and entangled the approaching enemies. With Elder Shinong temporarily holding back their pursuers, Xiao Yan led Yao Tian, Yao Ling, and the surviving members of the younger generation forward at even greater speed. When Hun Xuzi saw Xiao Yan drawing closer to the weakened section of space, he hurriedly shouted, "Lord Nihility, stop Xiao Yan. That brat also possesses a fragment of the two Shi ancient gods Jade." The Nihility devouring flame snorted coldly when it heard him. "Do you think this lord can split himself into 3 heads and 6 arms?" Its voice carried obvious displeasure. On another battlefield in the sky, Hun Yan, one of the Hun Clan's 4 demon saints, laughed softly. Allow me. Hun Jing, I will leave Yao Dan to you. He cast a mocking glance at the violently struggling Yao Dan. Did you truly believe you could hold back both of us by yourself? How foolish. As soon as his words fell, Hun Yan escaped from the battle and descended toward Xiao Yan's group like a hunting eagle. His speed was terrifying. In almost an instant, he appeared directly in front of them. Xiao Yan's expression darkened when he saw yet another powerful enemy blocking their path. Hun Yan's strength was extraordinarily great. According to Xiao Yan's senses, the old man had reached at least the late stage of the 7-star Dou Saint level. He was far stronger than Yao Dan. Hun Yan positioned himself directly before the damaged section of the spatial seal. This meant that Xiao Yan's group would have to defeat him before they could tear open a path of escape. Xiao Yan's thoughts moved, and the North King, which had been following behind him, charged toward Hun Yan without hesitation. Facing the North King's fierce attack, Hun Yan did not retreat. Monstrous Dou Qi surged outward. With a wave of his palm, the energy transformed into a gigantic hand hundreds of feet wide and easily blocked every one of the North King's attacks. Whenever Hun Yan's palm wind swept across it, the tremendous force sent the North King stumbling backward. Several half-inch deep depressions even appeared across its incredibly durable body. Although the North King possessed formidable strength, confronting an expert at the late stage of the 7-star Dou Saint level was clearly beyond its ability. While the North King desperately delayed Hun Yan, a thought flashed through Xiao Yan's mind. The purifying demonic lotus flame rapidly surged through his body and completely merged with his soul. When the two became one, the purifying demonic lotus flame erupted from Xiao Yan's body like an uncontrollable beast. Destruction Fire Body. Xiao Yan immediately unleashed his strongest available technique. He understood that ordinary attacks were completely useless against an opponent of this level. Once the fire body formed, Xiao Yan suddenly clenched his hand. 6 different heavenly flames swirled within his palm and rapidly merged. In only a few breaths, they condensed into a dazzling multicolored fire lotus. The instant the lotus took shape, Xiao Yan swung his arm. The destructive fire lotus shot forward like lightning, carrying a magnificent trail of flame before exploding near Hun Yan. A colossal firestorm engulfed the heavens and earth. However, monstrous black energy erupted from within the storm and forcibly suppressed the raging flames. When Xiao Yan saw Hun Yan emerge almost completely unharmed, his expression changed slightly. The strength of a late-stage 7-star Dou Saint was truly terrifying. Elder Shenong stared at Hun Yan with a grave expression. That old fellow's aura has become somewhat unstable. Your previous attack did injure him, but it was not enough to inflict serious damage. Xiao Yan nodded. He looked at the distant Hun Yan, who was wearing a cold smile, and took a deep breath. Elder Shenong, Yao Tian, lend me your heavenly flames. Elder Shenong and Yao Tian were both startled, but there was no time to ask questions. Elder Shenong waved his hand and passed his medicinal staff to Xiao Yan. After a brief hesitation, Yao Tian opened his mouth and released a cluster of dark brown flames. It was the Turtle Spirit Earth Flame, ranked 13th on the Heavenly Flame ranking. Xiao Yan held Elder Shenong's staff in one hand and the Turtle Spirit Earth Flame in the other. His crystalline fire body emitted a strange radiance. He already possessed 6 heavenly flames. With these 2 additional flames, the fire lotus he was about to create would contain the power of 8 different heavenly flames. Its destructive might would undoubtedly be terrifying. As Xiao Yan began merging the 8 heavenly flames into a Buddha's Fury Flame Lotus, Hun Yan, who was being delayed by the North King, sensed the gathering energy. His gaze locked upon the fiery vortex above Xiao Yan's palm, and the corner of his eye twitched uncontrollably. Even he felt threatened by the power gathering within it. Hun Yan suddenly struck the North King with a palm and sent it flying. He then flashed forward and charged directly toward Xiao Yan. Stop him! Yao Lao shouted as countless Dou Qi attacks shot through the air. Hun Yan did not even bother to look at them. He swept his sleeve and shattered every attack before sneering coldly. A group of insignificant juniors thinks it can escape from the Hun Clan? You are dreaming. He instantly appeared before Xiao Yan. His dark fingers reached forward like the claws of death, and the fierce force behind them slammed heavily into Xiao Yan's body. 5 deep wounds immediately appeared across the dragon scales covering Xiao Yan's chest. Blood continuously poured from them. Had the ancient dragon phoenix armor not protected him, that single attack might have severely wounded him. Xiao Yan was sent flying by Hun Yan's strike. Yet while he flew backward, a cold smile flashed through his eyes. Explode. Hun Yan's pupils abruptly contracted. His gaze froze upon the 8-colored fire lotus slowly rotating in front of him. Before he could react, dazzling light erupted from the lotus. Countless beams containing devastating energy shot outward in every direction. Immediately afterward, the full destructive force of the fire lotus erupted. Brilliant radiance filled the sky like a blazing sun. The intense light nearly covered the entire Yao realm. An indescribably destructive shock wave swept through the heavens. The terrifying heat even melted the surrounding mountain ranges. The violent energy raged for a long time before gradually dispersing. A black figure fell from the center of the explosion and crashed heavily into the ground. Xiao Yan looked down and vaguely saw Hun Yan lying there, his entire body wrapped in black energy. His aura was far weaker than before. He is at least seriously injured. Elder Shenong and the others drew sharp breaths when they saw the result. It was almost impossible to imagine that Xiao Yan had pushed a late-stage 7-star Dou Saint to such a miserable state. After returning the Life Spirit Flame and Turtle Spirit Earth Flame, Xiao Yan hurriedly said, "We need to leave now. The space over there has been torn open by the aftermath." His own condition was equally poor. The energy required to create the 8-colored fire lotus had far exceeded his expectations. Only after hearing his words did the others notice that a spatial crack several dozen feet wide had appeared at the center of the destructive shock wave. "Quickly!" Xiao Yan urged them again before taking the lead and rushing toward the spatial crack. On the ground, Hun Yan's face twisted savagely. "Stop them!" Hun Jing, who was still fighting Yao Dan, immediately turned gloomy. He had never expected Xiao Yan to defeat Hun Yan. Just as he prepared to withdraw and intercept them, Yao Dan sensed his intentions. A wild and ferocious smile appeared upon Yao Dan's face. The Dou Qi within his body suddenly became violently unstable. "Xiao Yan, thank you." As his Dou Qi reached its limit, Yao Dan looked toward Xiao Yan, who was leading Yao Tian and the others into the spatial crack. A relieved smile finally appeared upon his face. A moment later, an explosion no weaker than the previous 8-colored fire lotus erupted once again within the blood-soaked Yao realm. Hundreds of miles away from the Shenong mountain range, a crack suddenly appeared in the empty sky. One battered figure after another flew out from within it, and landed upon a distant mountain peak. Only after everyone had emerged did they finally release the breaths they had been holding. They had escaped from that land of death.